please clearly state your name and position before starting. And this meeting is called to order as of 5 o'clock. And before we start on the agenda, I'd just like to take some time to recognize Angelin Mateo for graduating from Waipawa High School. I had the privilege of attending the graduation. I got to see Andrea sing and dance. So, great job. Okay, we will be taking an agenda item out of order. And first we'll be taking agenda item 5A, the Bright Spots presentation on Nanakuli Complex's Western Association of School Colleges Complex Lyman Accreditation. And before we hear the presentation, we will accept public testimony on this item. So do we have any public testimony on this agenda item, Gina?
Not at this time, Chair.
Okay, and then with that, I would call on Interim Deputy Superintendent Keith Hayashi to introduce the presenters for this agenda item.
Thank you, Chair. It's a privilege to introduce Complex Area Superintendent Ann Mahi, who oversees the Nanakuli Waianae Complex Area. And Kaz Mahi will introduce the principals doing the presentation today.
Chair Mitsumoto, Vice Chair Lima, members of the board. We're so, Chair Mizumoto, Vice Chair De Lima, members of the board, we are very honored to be here this evening to share this accomplishment for the Nanakuli Complex schools. They are the first to be able to go through a full self-study of all 3 schools and also add a component which addresses the K-12 transition between all schools. So it was an extra step that they chose to take on through the WASP process. So what we started to understand about this school, and also our Waianae complex as well, is that they truly believe that all of the students belong to all of them. So it is Nakako, Nakeki Apau, or Nanakuli, which is all the children of Nanakuli belong to all of us. And so with that, I'd like to introduce our complex chair, Darren Pilialoha from Nanakuli High and Intermediate School. Then we have Principal Lisa Higa from Nanakuli Elementary School, and Principal from Nanikapono Elementary School. This is Deborah Knight. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Principal Pilialoha.
I guess I'll be the guy to transition the slides to. Okay, so we wanted to start the presentation by showing you this picture. This is a picture of Nanakuli Valley from the ocean. And for us, we want to take advantage of the Hawaiian concept of the Akua. And because, you know, we're a very close-knit community. We feel that we're all responsible for all the students that comes through our schools. And we also lead by the strengths of the community, but also the strengths of the teachers that work at our schools. And we want to share the same goals and strive for continuous improvement in all of our schools. So if you look at this slide, you know, our schools are situated, you know, going back to the Aopua concept of taking care of what's within the valley. Yeah, so Nanikapono is a school that's near the beach or near the ocean. Yeah. Nanakuli Elementary is located in the middle, and then our school is located closest to the valley. So as we went through this process of the PK-12 complex accreditation, you know, we wanted to really take advantage of the whole process in trying to identify common issues, challenges, and learning needs in order to align the 3 of us, align our goals, supports, and strategies. And we really wanted to build a seamless transition for pre-K continuum for all of our students.
Thanks, Gary.
So part of our complex alignment structure is really based around those values that we all share, that includes everyone in our community and really looks at our role as principal servant leaders of our community, as not just focusing on our keiki, but all the way to our kupuna. The structure actually took some planning on our part, and we involved our school leadership teams to work around building a sustained process, as well as extra benefit of developing future leaders in our schools. And our dream is that one day we can all retire knowing that a system is in place because our teachers run this K-12 alignment for the good of all. And we did need to have a little bit of help. Anytime we're starting something this organic, we sought the consultancy of a leadership facilitator who really taught us how to work with our strengths so that we were not having conflicts, but rather really collaborations by understanding and accepting each other. And we also develop that leadership strength within our teams to work efficaciously to develop something that is, we used to, with KKP, be part of the race to the top, and we all often refer to it as building the plane while it's flying in the air. Much like that, but we were so clear that we were going to do this for our kids. So we needed that facilitator, and always being data-driven. But our dream was really about addressing through the data and keeping it simple. And so Darren is going to address how we did it through the ABCs.
Okay, so once we were able to kind of figure out what our strengths were as a group between the three schools, we compiled our data. Well, we looked at the data, and around attendance, around behavior, and around college career and civic responsibility. So what we wanted to do is, as a group of complex schools, there's a lot of things that came to the surface, but we wanted to really focus on one particular area. And we focus our work through the accreditation process focused around the attendance. Yeah. So I think you guys have a sample of the banners that each of our schools, because that's all three schools' data, around attendance, behavior, and college career and civic responsibility. So that's kind of got us started, in having the conversations around what we wanted to focus on, not only as a school, but what we wanted to highlight, the work that we're doing within our WASC accreditation reports.
So the report was interesting in our preschool to grade 12 alignment report. It was not just built around what our normal WASC reports would be, which is, like highlights, bright spots, and areas to grow. And interestingly enough, and they were right in tune with the whole process that we were going through, they left us reflective questions to think about as we move forward on this journey. And these essential questions will continue to further our conversations in the area of the focus groups, such as comprehensive student support, curriculum, instruction, assessment, governance, leadership. The report also applauded us for, thinking beyond the box. And it's so in line with our strategic plan of innovation and creativity. And they also commended us for inclusiveness for all. Nobody is left behind, staff, children, families, and ourselves. They did talk about the complex vision for all students to succeed, We show a lot of pictures about our ahupua'a because that is a photographic metaphor for what we were trying to do. As elementary schools at the bottom of the ahupua'a, our job and our vision is to push the children up through increasing their reading and writing skills and abilities up to the high school. And the high school is to take those children and take them up so that they can see over this beautiful valley and see what opportunities are for them after high school and have those options to choose from. They applauded our responsibility of working on successful transitions for our children from elementary to intermediate and to the high school. And they also talked about aligned professional development for our staff. We are a hard to staff school district complex, and we know we have to grow our own. So we appreciate being recognized for providing those kind of professional development opportunities. And again, for the teacher leadership and the collaboration amongst all teams.
Okay, so what's next? It looks like we're having a lot of fun up there. We will continue the journey. We will continue to be one community. The reflective questions, I think, really helped in order for us to chart our next steps in the K-12 alignment and accreditation process. And with that being said, the WASC in general is really all about school improvement, and really not just for our children, but really for our entire community. Yeah, so to close, what is a pre-K-12 alignment, you had asked? Well, Nanakuli's version, a creative, strength-based visionary task, rooted in the determination and desire of building 3 dynamic school teams that admired the challenges and journeys forging ahead to build an aspiration of hope, which led into the development of the ABCs in building one ohana and one community. This process was unique and untried, focusing on strengths as a foundational guide. Teams met and accepted the expectations, embracing the learning of dynamic creation. Prepared and setting a structure to keep of collaboration and discussing data real deep. Analyzing and determining next steps to undertake, displaying passion and pride for the Valley's sake. Children the focus and promoting their voice, providing opportunities and interest avenues of choice. The alignment also supported each school's accreditation, as all school teams drove on with dedication. Included were elements from the strategic plan, providing equity and excellence, and a yes we can. Also included, Nahopena A'o, as we continue to listen to our community's mana'o. Grassroots built, a key message here. We are so energized by the results we already planned for next school year. With dates, visits, goals, and outcomes ready and set, teams to thrive with expectations that will be met. We set on this adventure, never losing sight of the students, our focus, and we will continue to fight. We believe in our families and our community. Hashtag Valley Strong, children first, working together and getting along. Thank you, BOE, for letting us share Nanakuli's journey.
Thank you very much. Very well written, clever. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Oh, sorry. Any questions of board member Moss?
To add on that note.
Board member Moss?
Thanks for your terrific presentation. We were at a committee meeting this afternoon. There was a lot of talk about equity in school facilities and excellence. And from my experience, going back to when I visited Nanakuli when I was in high school in the 1970s, maybe no school has gotten the shorter end of the stick over the years, over the last 3 decades in Nanakuli. So what can we do? What projects can we advocate for you to make a difference in Nanakuli to bring equity and facilities back to you?
I'm fine, I have central air, thank you very much. And the newest school facility in Nanakuli. It's not for this group, I know, but the contraflow lane is going to impact our being able to hire and keep the teachers. But I know it's not just the lead, but we could do some upgrades, right?
Well, it's coming. It's the facilities with our, we're the last school, basically. So once that happens, we're good. We're good.
For us, there's a lot of projects that are happening, and a lot of needed projects that are happening. As long as the community don't take the things that that they need for the projects, but you know, we're part of the schools that are part of the heat abatement project, and I think that's going to be a big boost to us as a school, because it does get hot up in the valley. I think that you know, they're doing a lot of just upgrade on the just various areas around campus, as far as, you know, looking to upgrade the grass area and things of that sort. So I mean, there's a lot of things that when you look at what contributes to student success, you know, it's moving. It's just a matter of just making sure that we can protect the materials for the project.
I want to also add that air conditioning is not just for our comfort, but a lot of our students, out of the 900 students I have, 266 turn in emergency cards that show asthma as being a really high health emergency situation. And on days when we have fog and it sits in the valley, and it's 85, 89 degrees, those two things combine to make really kind of unhealthy and unsafe situations. So, you know, it's just about the comfort, which really helps the children achieve, especially after lunch, you know. But it is a health concern too for schools like mine who have medically fragile children.
Thank you. Any further questions? Board Member Min and then Board Member Cox.
Thank you for your presentation. Just chapters 19, A, B, C, and D. Chapter D is what? Chapter 19.
School level. School level.
D. So that's where you have, in terms of your data. So going back to health, I'm becoming more and more proponent that for education, we cannot divorce health from it. Because without healthy students, socially, emotionally, physically, we're still going to have problems. So I'm real concerned about that when he asked you about that area, because I know each school has their own, you know, problems and their own root causes of issues. Please monitor that, because I really believe that health should be a lot more involved with our school system. And I'm talking to the Department of Health now, but they're looking for data from the DOE also.
Yeah.
So if you could help them out, yeah.
I just want to add, like, for my school, there's a project that is happening with, you know, with partners, the Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center. We're in discussion in putting a health center on our campus. Yeah. So I gave up, you know, 2 office space, yeah, so that they can have access to our kids. It's along the same model as what Waianae High School and Waianae Intermediate School is doing with the health center on campus. So we're really excited for that. We want to see, you know, how much of an impact it will make, you know, because the kids can go to a health center that's on campus instead of, you know, missing class, yeah, and trying to go to other appointments.
So the elementary schools participate in a partnership that the department has with the UH nursing school. And they provide an advanced practice registered nurse, and she helps us to train our school health aides. And Lisa has a nurse on her campus, as well as Lehoku Makaha in our sister communities, Waianae as well as Maili, because health is a big issue, and it does help when they're able to be treated by a registered nurse and get right back to class, and they're not sent home because we're unable to give them, some kind of care. So we're very fortunate to have that program. Thanks for asking, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments?
Well, actually, that's what I was going to ask about, and how, and how was it that you were able to get those kinds of things going on in your complex?
We started off with one Hawaiʻi Kiki nurse, APRN, and what happened was we had her come to all of our principals meetings and actually share the data that she was collecting from all of the school health aides, and talking about the number of visits to the health room, looking at the kind of issues we're dealing with for the children, all the mid-management kinds of things. And so as a principal group, they started talking about, what was needed to help to support, changing the trajectory of our absenteeism counts and attendance things. So what they decided to do was they used their own school monies to be able to purchase the registered nurses. Yeah, the APRN was funded, but Lisa used her own money. So I have to say, we have to really talk about it. They have to talk to their faculty about it. We have to look at data to justify that we have to, can I say this, kill a few sacred cows, yeah, in order to make those priority changes. So maybe we're not going to have, like 6 instructional coaches now. We're going to have 4, and we're going to get a registered nurse. So there's a lot of changes that have to occur when we talk about we do what's right for the children. That's the kind of heavy decisions that the principals have to make, and they are making right now in order to do that.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Again, I appreciate the alignment that you've had with the strategic plan. I could tell that you guys really took the effort to make sure there was alignment. So applaud you for your efforts, and keep up the great work and great presentation. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll now accept any public testimony on our remaining agenda items. Do we have any public testimony, Gina?
Yes, we do, Chair. PM Azinga.
Okay, along.
Aloha and mahalo for allowing me to speak to the Board of Education this afternoon. First of all, I would be remiss as a Radford alumni not to say anything about, to Dr. Sun, about the accomplishments of more AP takers and passers of the examination. Go Rams! Now to business at hand. Says, we as educators have long heard and are very familiar with the term dropout. However, there is now a new urban education phenomena that has recently surfaced that describes the condition where Black girls and young Black women are being forced out of schools at alarming rates, placing them at risk and vulnerable to their participation in underground economies, while rendering them to early and continual contact with criminal and juvenile legal system. Dr. Monique W. Morris, co-founder of the National Black Women's Justice Institute, calls this push out, where Black girls and young Black women are experiencing differential treatment based on inequitable enforcement of zero tolerance school-based discipline action rules and regulations. Beginning the pattern, of course, of school confinement pathways, school to prison pipelines, which include but are not limited to on-campus arrest, referrals to criminal justice system, suspensions, expulsions, both in and out of school. In fact, black girls are more and overwhelmingly represented in all 9 disciplinary categories collected by the Office of Civil Rights in the U.S. Department of Education. Dr. Morris cites in her book, Push Out, The Criminalization of Black Girls in Schools, that black girls are about 20% of preschool students, but are 54% of school suspensions in preschool. Black girls make up 16% of our students in public education, however, comprise over 42% of girls expelled from schools. Cultural incompetency has been partially to blame. The black feminine identification is difficult to understand in a public domain whereby black girls and young black women are presented as hypersexual, loud, domineering, overbearing, combative, defiant, sassy, emasculating, angry, and ranched. Just one little bit more. Black girls are overwhelmingly misrepresented, misinterpreted, and misunderstood. When black girls and young black girls speak up or speak out, there is a harsh response by and large as an affront to authority of adults or persons of power. However, Dr. Morris does offer recommendations of what can be done to address the needs of black girls and young black women and other women of color, or young girls of color, expanding existing opportunities to ensure the inclusion of black girls and other girls of color in policy research, advocacy, and programmatic intervention, ensuring equitable approach to funding the supports that need for women and girls, as well as those for men and boys. And just quickly, developing robust student protocols that ensures school personnel enforce all student rights to an environmental-free sexual harassment and bullying environment by reviewing and revising policies that funnel girls into juvenile justice system, advancing and expanding programs that support girls who are pregnant, parenting, or otherwise assuming significant familial responsibilities. And what is very much important is urging the Department of Education and other information gathering institutes to take the necessary steps to refine statistic reporting on disciplinary actions while disaggregating achievement data along gender and racial lines. And finally, the development of the public to address the challenges facing black girls and other girls of color through elevating their experiences and engaging shareholders to become actively involved in their welfare. Mahalo and aloha.
Mahalo.
Sylvia Hussey, Native Hawaiian Education Council.
Aloha.
Aloha Chair and board members. My name is Sylvia Hussey. I'm the Executive Director of the Native Hawaiian Education Council, and we've already submitted written testimony but wanted to provide oral testimony to support our support of the recommendation to approve the framework that's being heard before you today. Primarily, we're supporting in detail the design principles that have been put forward, the data elements that are proposed to be captured that are ESSA mandated. We are also supporting the collection of chronic absenteeism data, regardless of whether that is chosen ultimately as the state selected measure for ESSA. We think that collection of chronic absentee data is very important for our schools, families, and communities. We also are supportive of subgroup classifications as proposed, as well as the N size of 20. And similar to testimony that's already been provided by principals and other supporters of implementation, the school year is starting in July. And so putting forward the framework for collection of data and for reporting is imperative so that that information is already known and supported. So we support the testimony that has been
also provided by the principals in the system. Thank you.
Wow.
B. Derego.
Aloha.
I'm back again to talk pretty much about the same thing. I'm B. Derego. I'm the test coordinator at Kahuku High and Intermediate. And I'm here for my teachers and also on the behalf of my students, specifically the 8th graders who have now spent about a month of testing for English, math, and another week for science. The new accountability plan professes to base on minimum federal requirements, but the plan is pretty much like the old plan. We have 80% that we are looking at for test scores. And if we look at literacy for 8th grade and 4th grade, that's another percentage of test scores. And my students are more than numbers. Page 2, number 5 in the plan is on identifying schools needing additional support. As a test coordinator in a Title I school, I've been subjected to memos criticizing our schools for not getting that magic 95 participation rate on the required tests. We have been forwarded pages from the test coordinator's manual as if we are not staying up all night until midnight, every night, running reports, knowing full well which students are going to cut the entire school day if they know that I have sent out another call slip for testing. They just won't come back. Right? The major cause for non-participation is not the drop-down menu. It's poverty. Right? Poverty. I'm a 50% poverty school. Instead, we interpret each lost test as a measure of either truancy or test refusal, parent, test refusal, student, medical emergency, or other innocuous rationales. The truth is never out. If Hawaii is serious about preparing students for life, we need to find valid ways of assessing our students. First, by eliminating the excruciatingly long, unreliable performance tasks on the SFA, or finding another different and valid test. Secondly, by providing relevant and authentic means of celebrating our students' accomplishments. They all have bright spots, right? If you care enough to look. This brings me to page 9, comment 2 on chronic absenteeism. One of the many reasons my school will not reach 95% participation. Chronic absenteeism, again, is a symptom of poverty. My students are houseless. They haven't had a meal except a school lunch in days. They have parents or a parent who work one or more jobs to try to survive in this economy where a $50,000 annual salary is a struggle for a family of 3 or 4. Students who stay home to watch the little ones are doing it because it's a better choice than leaving the toddlers home alone. Students are sick because reliable medical insurance is out of reach for their families. Students who do finally show up for a hopeful day of learning instead spend a week in my computer lab struggling through the test with text that has been pulled from the common domain in the interest of saving money. Additionally, page 9 does expose that 8th grade literacy as another indicator based on test growth. Finally, there's comment 6, a call from 56% of respondents to this plan, a majority to limit the role of standardized testing and add authentic measures of academic success. The DOE's response is that the plan is intended to measure and focus on college and career readiness. Our test is aligned to the Common Core state standards. It is not aligned to college and career readiness. Perhaps another way that we could do things is find tests that are aligned to that college and career readiness, such as the ACT or the SAT. This plan, I don't feel, is going to move Hawaii public education system to world class. We would not replicate the system we have in our public schools, in our private schools. And that, to me, is class warfare. If it's not acceptable for them, it's not acceptable for my students either. My students are counting on you having some compassion and foresight. We're asking you to change to some type of testing that is more valid and reliable and gives students time to actually learn what they have to be tested on. Thank you for your attention.
Wow.
Sherry Nakamura, Group of Educational Equity Advocates, followed by Chris Caulfield.
Aloha.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the board. I'm Sherry Nakamura, Director of He'e Coalition, but today I'm representing a group of advocates for educational equity who are listed as signatories on our written testimony. So we support the testimony that the Native Hawaiian Education Council submitted on this item, which is to support the approval of a new school accountability framework to revise the Strive High performance system. Our support of this broad framework, however, is not an endorsement of the details of the state's ESSA plan, which are still being discussed and decided upon. We do feel that an approval of this framework will give school leaders clarity on what they will need to focus on for the next school year, which ultimately benefits students. Therefore, we urge the board to approve this recommendation. Mahalo for this opportunity to testify.
Mahalo.
Chris Caulfield, Imo Alliance, followed by Pat Onbe.
Aloha.
Aloha Chair Mizumoto and members of the Board of Education. I'm Chris Caulfield, Executive Director of the Imo Alliance, asking you today to delay decision-making on this matter on approval of Strive High 3.0 and its related ESSA accountability protocol, which the department says will be a subset of Strive High, to allow the new DOE superintendent an opportunity to work with stakeholders on the design of the new state and federal accountability frameworks. First, DOE leaders have until September 18th, as has been mentioned before, to submit their final ESSA plan to the U.S. Department of Education. And rather than rush through an accountability system with little stakeholder and especially teacher input, we should discuss accountability over the summer, preferably via community meetings when educators have more time to digest the copious amount of information surrounding the crafting of Strive High 3.0. Then, in August, after the new superintendent, Christina Kishimoto, has had an opportunity to review the accountability frameworks that she will be tasked with implementing, the board can revisit the issue. The hasty nature of the current proposal is demonstrated by its continued overemphasis on standardized testing data in determining school success, a measure that numerous educators and community members have condemned as academically, professionally, and developmentally harmful, and that the board this board and Governor Ige's ESSA blueprint have continuously questioned. Second, we believe it would be administrative malpractice to handcuff the incoming superintendent to an accountability system that she had no say in creating. The department's Strive High 3.0 monstrosity is groaning under the weight of test-based statistics and related mandated curricula that reflect precisely the educational paradigm that the new superintendent has been appointed to rectify. Why would the board advance an agenda based on ideas generated during the days of No Child Left Behind and Race to the Top when you just hired someone to change those outdated ways of thinking? And then finally, the DOE school accountability proposals we noticed were uploaded to the DOE website on May 18th, the same day as the deadline for completing the state's ESSA plan and related Strive High 3.0 surveys. There is simply no way that the department could have reviewed and responded to all of the information collected through its survey, much less incorporated that feedback into its school accountability proposals when the proposal was placed on the board's website before the process for gathering feedback was complete. This is a shameful case of DOE leaders having predetermined responses to the public, disregarding survey data, and making a mockery of transparency and the public engagement that this board continuously extols. To promote a society in which our schools are the sign and signal of Hawaii's highest standards of excellence, please again delay action on the new accountability systems until a later date. Give stakeholders a chance to work with the new superintendent to become the change that we wish to see in our education system. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Mahalo.
Pat Onbe, Principals, Department of Education, Leeward District, followed by Brad Bennett.
Aloha.
Good evening, board. Thank you for having us tonight. I'm Pat Onbe, Principal of Kaleapulu Elementary School, along with Sheldon Oshio, Principal of Waikele Elementary School, and we represent Waipahu Complex along with all of the Leeward District principals, EOs, and complex area superintendents. And we would just like to read our written testimony that was provided earlier to you tonight. The Leeward District principals, complex area educational officers, and our complex area superintendents stand united in strong support of the new Strive High school accountability system. The new Strive High school accountability system focuses on the state and schools' progress on our DOE, BOE State Strategic Plan Student Success Objectives, while the new Strive maintains a clear alignment with our state strategic plan. It also incorporates the feedback from principals and other school and educational leaders to recognize the diverse demographic needs of our school communities. It removes the punitive ranking and classification systems of schools, removes the weighting of measures, and now focuses on data that is helpful to stimulate conversations regarding areas of strength, opportunity, and need. The new Strive school accountability system also empowers educators and school communities in selecting locally identified measures of student success. We ask that the board expeditiously approve the new Strive school accountability system to enable school communities to immediately engage stakeholders with the important information the system provides. The Leeward District principals, complex area educational officers, and our complex area superintendents appreciate the board's consideration on our recommendation and the opportunity to provide testimony for the best interest of our students. Thank you. Can I please have our Leeward colleagues, our principals, EOs, and complex area superintendents stand at this time to be recognized also.
Brad Bennett, Moko Keawe, Hilo, Waiakea Complex Area, followed by Lisa Nagamine.
Aloha. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I'm here to speak on behalf of myself and our 13 Hilo Waiakea Complex Area principals in support of the accountability framework. We feel that, well, of course, with the timing of school coming up, we need time to plan. We would really appreciate it if we could have the measures in place so we can spend the summer working together to figure out how we're best going to implement this for our students. We appreciate that the new plan removes the ratings, rankings, and classifications that sometimes make it difficult for us to work with our community. Some parents can't get past the ranking on paper. And it kind of hinders us in working with our community and convincing them that we are trying to work in the best interest of our students. The other part we appreciate is the school-based measures that allow us to truly have discussions with our teachers that are based on relevant measures that are significant to the context of that school. Our schools are different. Even in Hilo Waiakea Complex Area, our schools have very different contexts between Waiakea High School and Kalanianaole Elementary and Middle. So I think having the flexibility to work with our teachers on actual teaching practice is going to be very important for us. So we really would urge you and ask you to support the accountability framework. Thank you.
Mahalo.
Lisa Nagamine, Department of Education, State Leadership, Principal in Residence.
Aloha.
Okay, good evening. As a principal at Wanlo Middle School, who's currently serving in the capacity of principal in residence for secondary schools, I'm strongly in favor of the new Strive High accountability framework. As a veteran principal of 7 years, I know and understand the importance and the value of the strategic plan with an accountability system. Wanlo Middle has done well thanks to the Hawaii State DOE strategic plan and accountability framework in the past. The strategic plan has helped me to articulate a shared Hawaii State vision, mission, and values with all the stakeholders in my school. It gave us the direction that we needed and focused our dialogue and discussions to help organize our school infrastructure and resources purposefully and consciously. I know that the new strategic plan has been accepted in December, and the new principals that I am training, they have begun to share it with their staff. If I was at Wanlo Middle School right now, I would have started sharing at least a strategic plan with my staff. But the strategic plan alone is not enough. We need an accountability system that is aligned to the strategic plan because it helps to hold our schools stakeholders accountable for their decisions and actions that are taking place, as well as helps us to assess student data and collaboratively evaluate and facilitate discussions on how to continuously improve our school effectively and efficiently while providing the direction we need to take in the future for our children in our community. Effective annual planning and communication to all stakeholders takes a lot of time. And I'm surprised that the Board of Education did not approve the accountability framework in a more timely manner, knowing that annual planning focused on strategic targets are essential for our systems to run effectively and efficiently. The board's indecision is creating anxiety and stress at the school level because the 2016-17 school year is ending this week, and the accountability system has not yet been approved. I'm asking if you folks can please make the decisions as soon as possible, as now we only have the summer to dialogue and have discussions with our leadership team and staff, SEC and PTSA. And again, it takes a lot of time for us to do that. So the more time that we can have, the better. And if we can get it before the school year, that's even better when we can start to plan. The school year 16-17, I stepped into the principal in residence for secondary school position. This is a temporary revolving 2-year term position to infuse current school level expertise into the Leadership Institute office to support secondary school leaders and administrators, while also providing me an opportunity to gain valuable knowledge and experiences to enrich my own school and complex area upon return at the end of the term. This position is responsible to provide coherence between the Hawaii Board of Education, the Superintendent's Office, with the secondary school principals across the state of Hawaii regarding statewide policies and initiatives. I also serve as a mentor to new principals. As a result of this position, I have been able to assist the superintendent leadership in scheduling a wide variety of opportunities for principals to receive information and have dialogue and discussions regarding the Strive High accountability system. They range from principal-scheduled webinars, district principal meetings, secondary principal forums, principal roundtable meetings, and new principal training meetings. We, the principals, have been given feedback, and we have seen positive changes. Of course, not everything that we gave input on was changed, because we understand that leadership is taking input from a variety of stakeholders and is making the best decisions they can as they're exposed to a plethora of feedback that they have collected from the various stakeholder groups. Thank you for allowing me to provide my feedback on this.
Mahalo.
Ellen Chung and Avis Nambu, principals, Mililani Mauka and Mililani Middle.
Aloha.
Aloha, Chair Mizuguchi and board members. My name is Aline Chung and I'm the principal of Mililani Middle School. And this is Avis Nambu, principal of Mililani Mauka Elementary School. My school, Mililani Middle, is one of 3 multi-track schools in the state of Hawaii. And therefore, we end school on June 30th and begin school after the weekend on July 3rd. So it's imperative that today we strongly urge the board to approve the recommendations of the Strive High information system so that it can be disseminated to all of our stakeholders and so that our schools will be able to receive information, data in a timely manner, but also, more importantly, to provide the timing for the planning that we need to do for our schools to begin in July 3rd. So today we are here representing the Mililani Complex principals to urge you to make a decision as quickly as you can on Strive High.
Good evening. The new Strive High represents a significant departure from accountability frameworks of the past. While NCLB was thrust upon the nation's schools in 2001, the Every Student Succeed Act in 2016 has allowed states to craft success indicators that adhere to national requirements and meet the needs of the diverse school communities across our country. The Hawaii DOE used this opportunity to its fullest extent. Never before have school-level principals, complex area administrators, and state leadership worked together through meetings,
webinars, and other means to collaborate, discuss, and provide feedback on an accountability system for our department. No system will ever satisfy 100% of the people it affects. Nonetheless, we agree and strongly support the Strive High 3.0 accountability framework, as it provides all DOE leaders a strong focus on student success while addressing the needs of the whole child. The focus on the whole child as it relates to impacting student success also represents a shift in thinking of NCLB to Strive High 3.0. Strive High synthesizes the requirements of ESSA and the principles of the strategic plan while providing for differentiated measurable indicators across grade spans, school, and complex selected measures. In other words, the Hawaii DOE has created an accountability system that reflects the principles of best practices of educating children, with clearly articulated measurable indicators that are appropriate to grade spans and benchmarks that can be crafted by schools in complex areas. Principals have the chance to design programs that meet the needs of their specific school population in ways that were never before possible. A system that allows this kind of flexibility is one that truly allows the schools to focus on learning that is meaningful to students in their communities. When this happens, improved student success is bound to increase. We welcome the opportunity to be empowered to craft the learning journey of our students through carefully selected accountability measures under our control, the ones that are appropriate to our grade spans and others that also align with federal standards. The new Strive High is the first and only framework that has ever allowed this to be possible. Finally, timing is of essence. It is imperative that Strive High 3.0 be approved as soon as possible to allow for the Hawaii DOE to communicate all pertinent information to all stakeholders. Of particular importance to schools is our Strive High accountability results from this school year so we can plan for next school year. One of the most important fundamental principles of good teaching is that assessment results must inform instruction. Without the new Strive High in place, schools will have no clearly identified indicators against which students and school success can be measured, and thus will have little specific guidance for planning for improvement for next school year. The Mililani Complex principals appreciate the board's consideration of our recommendations and are grateful for the opportunity to provide this testimony. Thank you.
Mahalo.
Fred Murphy, Principal, Mililani High, followed by Chad Keone Farias.
Aloha.
Before we get started, we have to acknowledge a former board member back from his freshman year abroad, Mr. Brennan Lee. Let's acknowledge him. Mililani High School graduate 2016.
Welcome back.
I would not be here if I had just completed my freshman year of college. I think I'd be somewhere else, Brennan. Good for you. All board members, thanks for having us here today. My name is Fred Murphy. I'm a proud product of the Hawaii public school system, and I'm honored to serve our community as principal at Mililani High School. I'm here to voice my support of the proposed accountability amendments to the Strive High system based upon our strategic plan. I've submitted written testimony in collaboration with my fellow principals from the Mililani complex and signed up to speak with you this evening as an addendum to our written testimony. Tonight I'm here to urge the board to make a decision and not to defer a decision once more. It's time to make a decision. School leaders, our leadership teams, need to get started planning to meet the goals set by you, our Board of Education. I'm pleased with many of the aspects of the proposed Strive High system. I appreciate the unprecedented outreach to survey stakeholders and members of the department led by our Assistant Superintendent Chun and her team. I think the proposed Strive High system represents compromise and collaboration. It's been a year of fact-finding, surveys, and town meetings. Many of us have had a chance to advocate for various elements to be included in the reiteration of our accountability system. I, for instance, wanted to see our students have multiple opportunities to pass the Smarter Balance assessment. I also advocated for us to consider other assessments like the ACT or the new SAT instead of the SBA. However, in the end, those proposals didn't make the final version of the proposed Strive High system. So why am I endorsing this proposal? Well, it's simple. The time for surveys, fact-finding, and proposals has concluded. It's time to unite around a plan. It's time for the real work of meeting and exceeding the goals of that plan. I support the document because it incorporates many of the ideas that were shared at our various community meetings and work groups. To some, it may seem inadequate. To others, it may seem too far-reaching, and there are probably many voices somewhere in between. In closing, I would like to see a decision to adopt the proposed Strive High today so that we can get on with the work of exceeding the expectations delineated by the strategic plan. I look forward to working with the teachers and staff at Nanakuli High School to make this plan a reality. Thanks.
Mahalo.
Chad Keone Farias, Moko Keave, Ka'u Ke'au Pahua, Complex Area.
Aloha. Good evening, Chair Mizumoto, Vice Chair Lyman, and the Board of Education, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here on behalf of the students, faculty, and school leaders of Ka'u Ke'au Pahua. I'm here in strong support of the new HSTA accountability framework. For one real reason, our principals and our school leaders felt that the process hurt them. They overwhelmingly said that not all of their recommendations made it in there, and like Principal Murphy appreciates the time that was given to their thought, and they too want to rally around one plan so they may set clear expectations for their faculty, staff, and community. Three things that came up in our principals meetings overwhelmingly over the last 8 or 9 months were flexibility in choosing some of their own measures. The unique context of Ka'u is very, very different than Ke'au. Our principals overwhelmingly appreciated the removal of rankings in a geographically hard to fill area. It makes it very difficult, even more difficult when teachers, EAs, faculty are labeled last place and they're working really, really hard. Yet, they appreciate the clear data that helps them create their plans that they need to set very, very clear targets based on the needs of their community. And so the third thing that they appreciated was the removal of like this weighting or a weight measure, sometimes making it very confusing for themselves and very confusing when they try to articulate that to their school community councils and to community members who oftentimes feel like they don't understand, belittled, and it drives them away from the conversation. So 3 overwhelming reasons: flexibility, removal of weight, and being able to use their data without feeling like they last place or second to last. So thank you for the opportunity to speak on this. And again, I urge the board to make the decision so we can get to planning for our students for school year 17-18. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Corey Rosenby, President, HSTA.
Aloha.
Corey Rosenly. Oh, it shuts off. I think it's a signal. Okay. I won't take that personally. Okay. Corey Rosenly, President of the Hawaii State Teachers Association, representing 13,500 teachers. Chair Mizumoto, members of the committee. The Hawaii State Teachers Association asks that you delay decision-making on the Department of Education revised School Accountability Strive High 3.0 framework. Provide additional time to discuss appropriate indicators and implementation strategies. On May 19th, the Board of Education announced that Christina Kishimoto had been selected as our state's next DOE superintendent. During an exhaustive process that included interviews with multiple stakeholders, Kishimoto said that we need to offer, and I quote, the flexibilities to teachers to design assessments that are meaningful at the classroom level. And furthermore, that we must ensure, quoting again, we're not spending so much time assessing that we're distracting from the opportunity to have engaged hands-on learning for kids. Last school year, Congress passed and the President signed the Every Student Succeeds Act. How bad does No Child Left Behind have to be that Republicans and Democrats can agree to get rid of it? And now, in this time, okay, we've had a new governor, new Board of Education, and now a new superintendent. With all these changes, the question is, are we going to still keep the policies of the old